Hi everyone. I've been walking 10,000 steps a day for a month now, and I just wanted to look back at my numbers since I started. To be clear, I'm also eating better and taking Ozempic, so there are other things contributing to my changes, but I do credit the 10,000 steps with much of the progress. On my first 10,000 step day, I weighed in at 317.2 pounds. This morning, I was 304.5 pounds. That's a loss of 12.5 pounds. I feel like that's pretty spectacular. I had already been eating better and exercising steadily for 2 weeks before I started the 10,000 step goal, so the only factor changing at that point was that I switched from exercise bike to walking. I was already steadily getting above 1,000 active calories, so that part stays unchanged. I also know I feel better, I'm coughing less, and I'm happy I switched plans. I think it's really working out for me. Still, there are some challenges as well, and I thought I would go through them. Challenge 1 is time. When you need to walk over an hour and a half a day, that time has to come from somewhere. I often end up cursing myself if I let the whole morning pass without getting at least 20 of those walking minutes in. While there's almost always going to be a big chunk of time devoted at some point, just getting through 2,000 or 3,000 steps in the morning makes the afternoon and evenings look so much more manageable. That time pressure can be rough as you recalculate throughout the day to figure out when you can get your walking in. In the morning, the day seems wide open. If you get a few thousand steps in the morning, it really helps. You get a few more around lunch, and for me, I finish up when the kids have gone to bed. If you miss the morning shift, suddenly you need to devote a substantial part of the afternoon or evening to it. If you wait too long to start walking, you can find yourself staring at 7,000 or 8,000 steps to go at 9 o'clock at night. The other problem with pushing things back is that other issues can come up as the day goes forward. You get unexpected errands or minor emergencies, and as it gets later and later, it's harder to make the numbers. I've yet to miss the 10,000 a day, but I've had a couple close calls. Challenge number 2 is attention. When you know you're going to get your steps in every day, it becomes the primary focus for all your attention, especially as the streak gets longer and you don't want to break it. It's always at the back of your mind. No matter what I'm working on, walking and my health in general are still there in the background, making me calculate what's going on. I sometimes feel guilty for relaxing, especially if I don't feel like I've gotten enough steps in so far. Challenge 3 is stiffness and pain. I've yet to suffer any major injuries worse than a blister on my foot, but that doesn't mean I'm pain-free. I can't blame the 10,000 steps for all my aches and pains, but I do think the pain in my right knee and the stiffness in my legs and hips are due to pretty much that. I know that at some point the aches and pains will get less as my body changes to suit my routine, but it clearly isn't going to happen overnight. I am sleeping better than before I started, but I'm also having a harder time getting out of bed, not because I'm sleepy, but because my muscles need some convincing to start the day. Challenge number 4 is weather. Walking outside is dependent on the weather. Most days I'd rather be walking outside, but if it's too cold, windy, or rainy to walk comfortably outside, I'm limited to indoor walks. Indoor walks are slower and harder to rack up calories. I'll generally have no problem getting my 10,000 steps, but my secondary goal of 1,000 active calories will probably not make it, not without some help. Today was cold, windy, and rainy. I tried to get outside 3 times, and each time it started raining within 10 minutes. I also know that here in Tucson, most of the year the problem will be heat, not cold. Come June, we'll probably be hitting 108 to 110 degrees most days, and that's a problem I'll have to work through when the time comes. Challenge 5, and this may be just for me, is self-consciousness and my general introversion. This isn't a problem for half the people in the world, but as an introvert, I don't really like other people to see me walking. I'm lucky enough to have a small walking track in my backyard, which saves me from having to go out in the neighborhood and deal with people, but the backyard isn't exactly private. My next-door neighbor often goes on her back porch to smoke, and it gets in my head. She's not even looking in my direction, but I have a whole scenario in my head where we get in an argument because my music is bothering her, and then I'm mad because I'm having to smell her cigarette smoke. She's never said a word, but that's where my brain goes. I create scenarios, and since I'm walking with nothing else to do, the scenarios keep running as I walk. It's a challenge. Sometimes my brain is full of spiders. That's it for today. I've managed to work my stats into the topic, so there's nothing major to discuss there. I'll leave you with my Sir Terry Pratchett quote of the day. This one is from A Hat Full of Sky. It's always surprising to be reminded that while you're watching and thinking about people, all knowing and superior, they're watching and thinking about you right back at you. See you all tomorrow.